watching US President Joe Biden deliver the State of the Union address today, it makes you shake your head at not the State of the Union, but at the state of the White House in the United States. I mean, the notion that Joe Biden, at his age and cognitive state, would do another 4-year term should, I think, send shockwaves around the world. And the notion that Donald Trump will run again makes most people equally nervous. Now, watching the US president, and this gives me no comfort, I was sitting there on my couch waiting for Joe Biden to make a mistake, to get someone's name wrong, to lose his place on the auto queue. That's a natural reaction with this bloke these days. But what an awful thing to think about someone holding that great office, the office that had great orators like John F. Kennedy and Barack Obama. How low has that office sunk? And tradition has it that this address gets some degree of bipartisanship. Well, it didn't get that today.
This is the world you are graduating into. This is what I want to talk about today with you for a few minutes. To lead in shaping a new world order for the 21st century.
You now say that you want to talk about, in this year's conference in January, mastering the fourth industrial revolution.
When we look at the world today, we see governments and even business very much engaged in mastering the crisis of today, very much absorbed by crisis management. Right. But if you look into the future, there's so much going on in technology. Yeah. It's a real revolution, and our life, the pattern of governing societies will be so much affected with what's going on in research, in innovation, and we are not sufficiently prepared for it. Just look at the discussion on big data.
Yeah.
It shows how difficult it is to find the necessary rules, to find the necessary norms.
And look at things like artificial intelligence.
Exactly.
And robots. Look at things like gene editing.
Exactly.
Opening a whole new horizon for medical science.
And you see, the difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take genetic editing, right. Just as an example, it's you who are changed. Yeah. And of course, this has a big impact on your identity.
Yeah. This is the world's most advanced processor. In entertainment, its rendering speeds render other processors obsolete. It drives the future of autonomous driving, powers cloud services for billions, helps change the course of climate change, connects communities of gamers anytime, anywhere, and uses AI to accelerate disease detection and cures. We make the world's most advanced processors, but only with your vision can we advance the world. AMD, together we advance.
It's a new morning in America. Fresh, vital. The old cynicism is gone. We have faith in our leaders. We're optimistic as to what becomes of it all. It really boils down to our ability to accept. We don't need pessimism. There are no limits.
It figures it would be something like this.
Dear little Razor, greetings from Mars. This is a story about you. About the history of creating invisible masterpieces that have changed our lives visible. Every day, for all of us. It's a story about humble revolutionaries with an eye for detail and the heart to think big. It all started here, in a little town tucked away somewhere in the Alps of Switzerland, from where it spread out into the whole wide world. Moving on from man's chin, to the core of what moves humankind. The finger on the pulse, always and everywhere. It's also a story about transformation, about constant changes in a constantly changing world. Boundaries which were overcome with precision and curiosity, rethinking even the box out of the box. By giving bikes invisible powers, cameras wings, and building tools for people to take their first step back into life. And it's a story about me and the dedicated people who brought me to Mars without ever leaving their office.
Let's do the math. Our service mission here was supposed to last 31 souls.
Pretty much 8 months through, and we're looking forward to getting back home, seeing family and friends.
This guy is kind of like the real-life Matt Damon character from The Martian.
Hey everybody, this is Josh Ehrlich calling you live.
For 8 whole months, Josh Ehrlich lived in a simulated version of Mars. NASA runs a variety of fake space missions on Earth. These simulations, called analog missions, allow scientists to study what a long space mission would be like for the crew.
It's always been a little bit of a dream of mine. I mean, my dream is to become an astronaut and head to Mars.
Ehrlich was the biologist on the crew of the High Seas mission, a NASA analog designed to simulate living on Mars. The High Seas mission has happened 5 times so far, always in a remote part of Hawaii. Like Matt Damon's character Mark Watney, Ehrlich's focus was to grow vegetables inside the habitat. The crew could go outside of the habitat, but not without wearing hazmat suits, meaning no fresh air, and the only plant life the crew saw, touched, or ate came from Josh's little garden.
To see and just to watch the crew members eat a vegetable for the first time, like a real vegetable, not something that's dehydrated or freeze-dried, it was a truly worthwhile experience as a crew member because you're providing to them.
Not only is it logistically challenging to live inside a geodesic dome for 8 months, even if you're on Earth, it can also do a number on your psychological state.
Since time began, there has been one fruit with the ability to change the world. One fruit that can alter history with one small bite. One fruit with the ability to make everything better.
Well, we did it. We sealed the bad out and the good in. Take a second and look around you. Go ahead. We have everything we've always wanted. We'll want for nothing.
Excuse me. I really love it here.
Thank you.
We have all these beautiful avocados from Mexico, but where are the chips?
I'm sorry?
Oh, the chips. The chips are outside.
Why are they outside?
The chips are outside!
I want a Chris Elliott autograph. Hi.
Wait! Please, avocados taste great on lots of things. See? Avocado toast. We can still make this work.
Oh, Wi-Fi's down.
No.
Avocados from Mexico.
One of the biggest concerns with a long space mission is the impact it has on the crew's mental and emotional well-being. It's one big psychological experiment. So, what's it actually like living in isolation with just 5 other people for 8 months?
It slowly adds up till you realize, man, I miss feeling the wind. I miss getting a sunburn. I miss jumping into the ocean.
Motivated by the unwavering will to make the seemingly perfect even better. Only it happens in places where no one ever looks. Except you and me, little Razor. This is our story. Maxon. 60 years of excellence.
Josh's duty to his crew and to the mission kept him invested in the project. But dedication in itself can't be enough to keep everyone sane and on good terms with each other, right? Conflicts will come up. People will inevitably get on each other's nerves.
Communication, when you all are on the same page, man, you can do anything. if there's something bothering you, just say it. A few words can go miles to getting things done, to accomplishing.
3, 2, 1.
Josh says what he learned on this mission can be applied to anyone. These aren't just rules to live by when you're trapped in a dome in Hawaii pretending you're on Mars.
Always keep in the back of your mind that we're all in this together.
Wake up! Get dressed! Carol!
759 Sector C.
Carol! We gotta go! We gotta get out of here! We gotta go right now!
Listen to me, Steve.
No, you don't understand! We've gotta go!
Go where?
No, we gotta go! What the hell are you talking about?
Steve, this is important. Go where? That's right. Go where? What happened in your room? Are you listening? What happened in your room is not an isolated incident. It is something that is happening everywhere to everyone. So, where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna run? Where are you gonna hide? Nowhere. Because there's no one like you left.
NASA's Rob Simon made this. So some of those are painted on.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
In the meantime, they are images that inspire, educate, and sometimes just make us say, wow.
Yeah.
Over the years, NASA has given us spectacular photos and renderings that reveal a colorful and mysterious universe.
No doubt. And now Chris Martinez is introducing us to two of the artists behind some of the most iconic space art in the galaxy.
In a small, bright office, working side by side.
Let's see.
Robert Hurt and Tim Pyle bring the universe to life.
What we're doing does have real science underlying it.
When I first made the correlations between Kabbalah and science, I was stunned.
We do know that Isaac Newton had access to certain mystical texts, certain texts of the Kabbalah.
Well, the Kabbalistic description of creation is coming from a single little point, from a speck, and of having matter form and time and space form all together at the very beginning. This sounds very much to me like the description of the Big Bang.
I couldn't believe that the Kabbalists could derive these truths without really knowing any mathematics or physics.
It is certainly true that in string theory, the number 10 is the dimension of space-time for supersymmetrical string theories, and 26 for bosonic string theories stand out as a requirement of the mathematics.
All the things that could destroy string theory, all the things that do destroy every rival theory to string theory, they are all eliminated in precisely 10 and 26 dimensions. These dimensions are magic. We physicists don't know where these dimensions come from.
The Zohar says those things. It could just have been a lucky guess. I don't know.
Robert is an astrophysicist turned artist. Tim, once a Hollywood animator, is now a planet illustrator. Together, they produce some of NASA's most popular images, from renderings of how planets light years away could look, to actual photos of stars and galaxies captured by NASA's powerful telescopes.
And this is sort of how it comes to me. And then
Many of those images have a dark, grainy start, but color and light reveal an astonishing glimpse of how the deepest regions of space might appear to the human eye.
What I'm trying to do is show people sort of the broader colors that the universe has to offer.
It's a delicate blend of imagination and data. The artists meet with NASA scientists over many drafts to ensure a planet or galaxy's look lines up with the research to make each one as accurate as possible.
I love the challenge. It's kind of like a puzzle to me of trying to create something that looks really cool within the restrictions that were given by the scientists.
The Zohar speaks of impure fats and pure fats, and that relates very well to modern medicine's view of the two types of cholesterol.
Now you tell me, how come that's the only text with 2,000 years old can have that kind of information so clearly there?
They knew things about the universe that took us till now to discover.
I think it's rather intriguing that the Zohar mentions cholesterol and mentions the liver and bile.
What I like about Kabbalah is that it has a rather profound view of a creator, of a divine being that transcends all possible notions that we could have.
There can be an interface between science and spirituality.
It can take days, even weeks, to produce just a single image. The dazzling final results, enough to keep us all dreaming of the final frontier for years to come. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Pasadena, California.
Oh, how amazed were you to see your roadster up there with Starman just cruising along with the blue planet, and how long will we be getting live views, do you think, from the car?
Well, I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement.
The Zohar's notion that light is a realm of no time and no space is quite consistent with special relativity.
What's been stopping it so far are, number one, the lack of a good concept, and I think the Kabbalah is offering that now in the context of modern science, and two, a reticence on the part of both scientists and people in religion to mix the two.
It's rather amazing, this uncanny reflection of some of the most advanced cosmology coming from our satellites, coming from our atom smashers, coming from our blackboards, that are mirrored in the Zohar and ancient Kabbalistic texts.
Reducing blur and glare, clearing away rain at just the right angle. Bosch Night Performance wiper blades are so adapted to the dangers of driving on stormy nights. It's almost as if those who drive with them are too.
You ever seen a night like this?
Oh, I see all kinds of things.
Night vision has evolved. Bosch Night Performance wiper blades.
Our ideal of vision. Excuse me. Just survive.
You know, you look like your head fell on the cheese dip back in 1957. You're okay. This one, real. You see, I take these glasses off, she looks like a regular person, doesn't she, huh? Put them back on, formaldehyde face. That's what we got.
That's enough out of you. You get out or I call the cops.
Call the cops? You know what you need? You need a Brazilian plastic surgeon.
I've got one that can see.
He's a tall Caucasian male, doesn't appear armed, wearing sunglasses.
I don't like this one bit. Not one bit.
Yo, these are the bomb.
And they're air popped, not fried.
Popcorners. You're an artist.
Actually, Jesse, it's just basic ingredients. No, we don't eat our own supply.
Mr. White.
Jesse.
Everyone's gonna want to taste. And I know just the guy to talk to.
You're gonna flood it.
I'm not gonna flood it.
That, to my ear, sounds distinctly like flooding.
Ah!
Even a blind squirrel.
What?
Although we weren't able to shatter that highest, hardest glass ceiling this time, thanks to you, it's got about 18 million cracks in it. And it may be hard to see tonight, but we are all standing under a glass ceiling right now. And the light is shining through like never before, filling us all with the hope and the sure knowledge that the path will be a little easier next time.
Force field. It's a dome. We're at the edge of the arena.
Do you see any positive effects in the COVID pandemic?
I think there are many silver linings. The advancement of synthetic RNA was accelerated significantly because of COVID.
And it's going to help with cancer, allergies,
Yes.
bacterial
Exactly.
diseases. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, synthetic RNA is a revolution in medicine that most people are not aware of just how much of a revolution that is. I would say this is like medicine going from analog to digital.
And that could be the big accelerator here, like during the plague, which also was an accelerator of progress in society and medical progress big times. Optimus is also an answer to the problem of drop in birth rates. If we have not enough human people, we need more bots.
For Optimus,
to get
I
the
think
work done.
Optimus will be helpful with respect to dropping birth rates. But I mean, like I said, you have to say, like, if these things continue, then what happens? Humanity dies out? Is that what we want?
Or step by step replaced by artificial intelligence, human beings that Neuralink is empowering.
Well, yeah, I mean, Neuralink, in the short term, Neuralink is just about solving, brain injuries and spinal injuries and that kind of thing. We could effectively merge with artificial intelligence.
Could you imagine that one day we would be able to download our human brain capacity into a Optimus?
Yes. I think that is, I'm not saying this is, I think it is possible, I think, to do that. It is possible.
Which would be a different way of eternal life, because we would also download our personalities into a bot.
Yes.
And offer certain kinds of possibilities that have to be careful about. When you began to do that kind of gene editing, some people worry that you are changing what it means to be human.
That's the problem. And of course, the new industrial revolution offers us many opportunities, but it raises manifold questions on the ethical, but even legal implications, and we have to be prepared for it.
Hey, Max. Lenny Meyer. Sorry, put it out. So, what do you do?
I work with computers, math.
Math? What kind of math?
Number theory, research mostly.
No way, I work with numbers myself. I mean, not traditional. I work with the Torah. Amazing! You know, Hebrew's all math. It's all numbers. You know that? Yeah, look. The ancient Jews used Hebrew as their numerical system, man. Each letter's a number. Like the Hebrew A, Aleph, it's 1. B, Bet, it's 2. You understand? But look at this. The numbers are interrelated. Like take the Hebrew word for father. Av, Aleph, Bet. 1, 2 equals 3. All right? Hebrew word for mother, Aim, Aleph, Mem. 1, 40 equals 41. Sum of 3 and 41, 44. All right? Now, Hebrew word for child. All right? Mother, father, child. Yelad. That's 10, 30, and 4. 44. Torah is just a long string of numbers. Some say that it's a code sent to us from God.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's just kid stuff. Check this out, okay? The word for the Garden of Eden, Kedem. Numerical translation, 144. Now the value of tree of knowledge, all right, in the garden, right? Eitz HaChaim, 233. 144, 233. Now you can take those numbers. So
you know, like the Fibonacci sequence?
Fibonacci.
Fibonacci is an Italian mathematician in the 13th century. If you divide 144 into 233, the result approaches theta.
Theta?
Theta. The Greek symbol for golden ratio, golden spiral.
Wow. I never saw that before. That's like that series you find in nature? Like the face of a sunflower?
Wherever the spirals.
You see this math everywhere.
Say you're me and you're in math class and your teacher's talking about, well, who knows what your teacher's talking about. Probably a good time to start doodling, and you're feeling spirally today, so yeah. Oh, and because of overcutting in your school, your math class is taking place in greenhouse number 3, plants. Anyway, you've decided there's 3 basic types of spirals. There's the kind where as you spiral out you keep the same distance, or you could start big but make it tighter and tighter as you go around, in which case the spiral ends. Or you could start tight but make the spiral bigger as you go out. The first kind is good if you really want to fill up a page with lines, or if you want to draw curled up snakes. You can start with a wonky shape to spiral around, but you've noticed that as you spiral out it gets rounder and rounder. Probably something to do with how the ratio between 2 different numbers approaches one as you repeatedly add the same number to both, but you can bring the wonk back by exaggerating the bumps and it gets all optical illusion-y. Anyway, you're not sure what the second kind of spiral is good for, but I guess it's a good way to draw snuggled up slug cats, which are a species you've invented just to keep this kind of spiral from feeling useless. This third spiral, however, is good for all sorts of things. You could draw a snail or a nautilus shell, an elephant with a curled up trunk, the horns of a sheep, a fern frond, a cochlea, and an inner ear diagram, an ear itself. Those other spirals can't help but be jealous of this clearly superior kind of spiral. Better draw more slug cats. Here's one way to draw a really perfect spiral. Start with one square and draw another next to it that is the same height. Make the next square fit next to both together, that is, each side is length 2. The next square has length 3. The entire outside shape will always be a rectangle. Keep spiraling around, adding bigger and bigger squares. This one has side length 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and now 21. Once you do that, you can add a curve going through each square, arcing from one corner to the opposite corner. Resist the urge to zip quickly across the diagonal if you want a nice smooth spiral. Have you ever looked at the spirally pattern on a pine cone and thought, hey, sure are spirals on this pine cone? I don't know why there's pine cones in your greenhouse. Maybe the greenhouse is in a forest. Anyway, there's spirals, and there's not just one either. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 going this way, or you could look at the spirals going the other way, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Look familiar? 8 and 13 are both numbers in the Fibonacci series. That's the one where you start by adding 1 and 1 to get 2, then 1 and 2 to get 3, 2 and 3 to get 5, 3 plus 5 is 8, 5 plus 8 is 13, and so on. 1. Some people think that instead of starting with 1 plus 1, you should start with 0 and 1. 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus 2 is 3, and it continues on the same way as starting with 1 and 1. Or I guess you could start with 1 plus 0, and that would work too. Or why not go back one more to -1, and so on. Anyway, if you're into the Fibonacci series, you probably have a bunch memorized. I mean, you've got to know 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. Finish off the single digits with 8, and ooh, 13, how spooky. And once you're memorizing double digits, you might as well know 21, 34, 55, 89, so that whenever someone turns a Fibonacci number, you can say, happy Fib birthday. And then, isn't it interesting that 144, 233, 377, but 610 breaks that pattern, so you'd better know that one too. And oh my goodness, 987 is a neat number, and well, you see how these things get out of hand. Anyway, 'tis the season for decorative scented pine cones, and if you're putting glitter glue spirals on your pine cones during math class, you might notice that the number of spirals are 5 and 8, or 3 and 5, or 3 and 5 again, 5 and 8. This one was 8 and 13, and one Fibonacci pine cone is one thing, but all of them? What is up with that? This pine cone has this wumpy, weird part. Maybe that messes it up. Let's count the top. 5 and 8. Now let's check out the bottom. 8 and 13. If you wanted to draw a mathematically realistic pine cone, you might start by drawing 5 spirals one way and 8 going the other. I'm going to mark out starting and ending points for my spirals first as a guide, and then draw the arms, 8 one way and 5 the other.
There's a conspiracy to hide this information that DNA is a Fibonacci, is an exemplification of a ratio sequence called the golden ratio, the ratio that proves the existence of intelligent design, or the reality of intelligent design of the cosmos. I mean, if you go to the golden ratio site for Wikipedia too on the same theme, they don't mention any of this stuff in nature that we're going to talk about here, that we talked about on the show 2 days ago, and that we're talking about here. They talk about how it's found in architecture and math and all this kind of stuff. They don't discuss it how it's found in the measurements of the human arm. Why not? It's just, I mean, well, I think I'm making, that's the point here. I think that just made sense to me, thinking this through as I say it to you. It has to be a conspiracy. How could all of this be overlooked, and how could Wikipedia leave it out? It can't be. There has to be somehow that big money has pushed their influence somehow, and they've had a drive to keep this covered up or something. These can't all be coincidences, and since they're doing that with everything else, it has to be the case that there's some movement to keep this stifled. I mean, why isn't? And here's another piece to add to this. Why isn't this in our education system? We learn all this junk geometry, pea-brain stuff when you take geometry in high school, and they don't teach you about any of this, the golden ratio everywhere in nature. I went through elementary school, high school, college, undergrad degree in college, master's degree, and halfway through PhD, and never was any of this mentioned. And we know who controls the universities, the big money behind it, all the way up to the Illuminati Nephilim controllers. So this can't be, this is planned, okay? And you just wonder, it's got to, I mean, I'm almost concluding here in my mind this Davidson College site showing up #1 in Google all the time and first page, and Wikipedia having these strange measurements which don't correlate with all kinds of these examples from academic sites I'm finding. I'm putting them all, pictures of the screenshots in the newsletter. It's got to be a conspiracy. I mean, we could keep going compiling the evidence, it would just all lead to it. So, and if we could keep compiling evidence of it being a conspiracy, I mean, everything points towards it. I'm just throwing ideas off the top of my head. These strange sites show up at the top. Wikipedia is wrong. It's covered up completely in the best-selling books about the golden ratio, which come from wealthy university professors. It's the universities and the government-controlled education system absolutely covers it up. You see how, I mean, everything's falling in the same direction. So when everything, all these conclusions point to the same direction, that it's covered up and hidden.
heaven, God's creation, the ones, each star has its name, as it says in the scripture. God says, I have named them all. These are the eyes. These are the eyes on the wheels. Our stars. I just can't help but to quote from Isaiah 40:26. Lift up your eyes on high, and behold who hath created these things, that bringeth out their host by number. He calleth them all by names, by the greatness of his might. For that he is strong in power, not one faileth. This is what people have been missing this whole time, and it's been right in front of our faces in the scripture. This is what God was showing Ezekiel. The wheels within the wheels are the belts that surround Earth. NASA calls them the Van Allen belts. These are the invisible belts of magnetic energy within the torus that keep everything in motion, everything moving like a fine-tuned clock. All the eyes that Ezekiel saw was the stars. All the stars are created by God. They are the luminaries. That is what makes up all the eyes that is being spoken of. What Ezekiel saw was the absolute pure beauty of our home that God created for us. This is what Satan wants you blinded to. This is the absolute magnificence that Satan doesn't want you to see. This is why they mockingly show you that image in Game of Thrones and other movies, the wheels within the wheels over the flat plain earth. They're showing you the truth right in front of your face, and they laugh because you don't understand and you don't see. This is the beauty, this is the sheer absolute beauty of the world that God created, and he called it good. Now that you have eyes to see and ears to hear, now let me tell you this. These wheels that we see, these bands that move like a clock, this is how the sun and the moon do what they do. This explains their movements. It's all about magnetic energy. It's all about the magnetic fields. This is how they're frictionless and how they move in perfect unison. And just as it states in the book of Enoch, through the movement of these wheels, we see how the sun and moon will go through their vaults and rise and return in different areas. This is what the globe has blinded people to. The absolute truth of what God said all along. It has been here the whole time in the scriptures.
So there's Fibonacci numbers in pine cones, but are there Fibonacci numbers in other things that start with pine? Let's count the spirals on this thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The leaves are hard to keep track of, but they're in spirals too, of Fibonacci numbers. What if we looked at these really tight spirals going almost straight up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. A Fibonacci number. Can we find a third spiral on this pine cone? Sure, go down like this, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. But that's only a couple examples. How about this thing I found on the side of the road? I don't know what it is. It probably starts with pine, though. 5 and 8. Let's see how far the conspiracy goes. What else has spirals in it? This artichoke is 5 and 8. So does this artichoke-looking flower thing, and this cactus fruit does too. Here's an orange cauliflower with 5 and 8, and a green one with 5 and 8. I mean, 5 and 8 up is actually 5 and 8. Maybe plants just like these numbers, though. Doesn't mean it has anything to do with Fibonacci, does it? So let's go for some higher numbers. We're gonna need some flowers. I think this is a flower. It's got 13 and 21. These daisies are hard to count, but they have 21 and 34. Now let's bring in the big guns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 17, 20, 24, 42, 53, 54, 55. I promise this is a random flower and I didn't pick it out especially to trick you into thinking there's Fibonacci numbers and things, but you should really count for yourself next time you see something spirally.
Instead, we choose to listen to NASA. Instead, we choose to listen to the idiot box. Instead, we choose to listen to scientists, and we heap amongst ourselves teachers that teach us absolute lies to keep us in the dark, when God's been saying the whole time, just look up at what surrounds you. I made this for you. That's all God wanted to say. Just take a look. I'm here. I am right above you. You can take comfort knowing that when you step outside and gaze up into that starry wonder of God's creation, just know that our Father in heaven is sitting up there right now, staring down at all of us, watching our every move. He knows everything that's going on down here. He has not missed anything. And just know and be comforted by the fact that our Father is right there, and He's been there this whole time. This is something that the world and NASA and the scientists can never take from us, ever. Even the lying powers and signs of Satan that are coming, the lies of the fallen angels and the lies of the world that are going to be ever increasing, will still not rob this from my heart, and they will never rob from me my faith in Jesus Christ, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords.
My soul loves Jesus. My soul loves Jesus. My soul loves Jesus. Bless His name. My soul, it loves Jesus. Oh, yes it does. Oh, yes it does. Oh, yeah. My soul, my soul. Over in the midnight hour, my soul, He speaks to my soul, tells me everything is gonna be all right. My soul, it loves Jesus. I'm so glad my soul loves Jesus.